Hello, my name is Jonathan Cowles, and I'm an assistant professor of biology at Columbia Basin College. Believe it or not, I'm a real person. I teach anatomy and physiology here at CBC, and that involves a lot of hands-on work for the students. Often they come into lab and we're looking at models, say a model of the heart, and it's difficult to really understand what the heart is like just looking at it on a page in 2 dimensions. It's a lot more complicated than that. And in lab, you can look at a model and pull apart the different bits and see how they relate to each other, but you can't do that at home. And that's a real challenge. I'm creating an engaging learning experience for students virtually by using something called Visible Body, which is a website that lets students view anatomy in 3 dimensions. In some ways, it has advantages above a model because a model of a heart does a good job of helping you understand how the structures in the heart relate to each other, but it doesn't help you at all understand how the heart relates to the rest of the body. Having a virtual model that includes all the structures in the heart, but then also lets you see the rest of the body can be a really big advantage. Another way I've tried to make fun and engaging learning environment for students is using an avatar during my lectures. When I lecture to students, I have slides so they can see what I'm talking about, but then in the corner, I also have a little talking head of myself so that they can see what I'm saying in addition to hearing it. I think that can help with accessibility a little bit because you can see my lips and read them, but even more, it helps me not seem like a machine. It's easy, I think, learning online to feel like you're learning from a robot, and that really hurts the learning environment. So I wanted students to know that they're learning from a real person, not some imaginary person. Another way I try to humanize myself is by telling silly jokes.
When I saw on Facebook that axon and dendrite got together, I was like, oh, synapse! Results reveal that most blood tests are drawn in vain. What did one eye say to the other eye? Between you and me, something smells.
All of my jokes are very silly. It's important to think outside the box while teaching virtually because if you don't, you lose a lot of the advantages of being online. And if you don't put thought into how you create your online course, then you lose out on a lot of those benefits that students could have. One of the things I realized that I did face-to-face classes that wasn't really necessary online was having assignments due throughout the week. That kind of constrains students' schedules. Teaching asynchronously, I realized it wasn't really important to spread out assignments throughout the week. So instead, I always have assignments due the same day each week. This does a couple things. It gives students flexibility. Also, another thing students mentioned that was challenging was remembering to turn in work and remembering due dates. That's harder because you don't have the same schedule of coming to class every day. And so having only one day that you need to turn things in makes it much more difficult to forget. Another way teaching online can contribute to student success is having a lot more low-stakes assessments. This helps to reduce students' stress. It can be difficult for the professor to evaluate how well the students are understanding because there isn't a two-way flow of information. I can't observe whether they're understanding. So instead, I try to give the power to them. Students are also doing well online. In fact, their success has been greater online than when I was teaching on campus. I think because of tools like Visible Body, which are effective at helping them learn anatomy remotely, and smaller assessments that help them to better judge how well they're doing in the course as they progress.
There shouldn't be any sound between the lub and the dub.
I'm passionate about teaching because I had good teachers. I learned a lot of things from professors who were very passionate about their subjects, and I wanted to be able to pass that on to students myself. I like to get students excited about what they're learning. because I think that makes it a lot easier to learn and remember.